Hi guys. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm really excited to be here. It never changed, talking to so many people over the years, and I still shake when I come on stage. So I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible. So my name is Fatou Ouattara, and I'm from Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, and I'm the owner and head chef at Akadi PDX. If you've never been there, it's a West African restaurant that we started back in 2017. And so I moved here in Oregon back in 2009, and I came here specifically to go to school. I attended Portland State University, and I was working on my bachelor in marketing and finance. My dad, my whole family back home owned businesses. My dad owned a soap factory, my grandma owned a textile company, so everyone in the family owned some kind of businesses. But because of the struggle that my dad went through to open his business, he never wanted us to go into that field of like owning businesses. So he did everything to, you know, pay for our education so we can become doctors or lawyers, anything but a chef, like I was mentioning in that video. So it wasn't my intention originally to become an entrepreneur. I think it happened by accident. So when I arrived at PSU, I didn't speak any English. So that was very scary, coming to a town that also doesn't have many Africans in general. So it was very, very difficult for me to adjust at first, right? And my teachers were telling me that I needed to take ESL class to improve my English. But it was so expensive, first of all, paying international student fee, that I refused to take ESL, and I ended up going into academic probation for that year. And that was a wake-up call for me to try to get my English better so I won't have to take ESL class. And what better way to do that than to start dating somebody who only speaks English, right? So that's how I met my husband. And the way I did that, I was trying to meet people who only spoke English, right? So I kind of stepped out of my community of other people who came from Ivory Coast who spoke French, because I knew if I stay around them, there's no way I would be able to speak English as fast as I wanted to get out of that academic probation as well. So I did a cookout, you know, because back home you grow up a woman, you will learn how to cook. That's just, there's no way around that, you know. I don't know why they don't teach the boys, only the girls, but that's a different conversation for another time. If there's some African parents here, I'm asking you that question. Why are you not teaching the boys how to cook? But that was one good thing about my upbringing. My mom taught me how to cook, my aunt, my grandma, so I used that to make more friends. I did a cookout, you know, I didn't know anyone, so I left the door to the dorm open so people will follow the smell of the food, you know, and they did. My dorm was filled with about 25 people that day, and I made friends that way, you know. And everybody was speaking English, but again, I made friends, but I can't communicate with them, you know. But that was when I met my husband, and he started teaching me, you know, English, and I started getting better and better, and I got out of academic probation a couple of months after that, thank God, because my dad was ready to ship me back. It costs too much money to be playing around when you come from Africa. But after I met my husband and did the cookout, a lot of people were encouraging me to continue cooking, you know? So when they had small celebration like birthdays or like baby shower, they would ask me to cook. And one person who really pushed me into that direction was Zanelle, who just got mentioned here. I became friends with Zanelle. She's from Zimbabwe, I'm from Ivory Coast, you know. And she used to organize all these trips for students in the dorm to hang out, to go to Seaside or Lincoln Beach, and I wanted to be a part of the popular girls, you know, and she was a popular girl, and she spoke English. So I started hanging out with her and cooking for her friends, and we became friends, and all of them used to encourage me and tell me, you can really cook, you can make a living out of this. And I thought to myself, 6 feet under when my dad killed me. You know, but I started looking deeper into it after graduating from PSU with my marketing degree and finance degree. I was supposed to go back home and work for Dad. But he wasn't getting along with my brother who was running things already, and I thought, if he's not getting along with the boys, he's not gonna get along with the girl. So I decided not to take that step forward and stayed here. I started working for a translation company, translating in French, and then I moved to the Girl Scouts and started working for them for a while before starting to work on my master. And in the meantime, because a lot of people were encouraging me about the cooking, I started going to Saturday market just to see how Portland would receive this food. I'm not the first one who started West African food in Oregon. You know, other people have tried unsuccessfully, you know? So I was a little skeptical, and I thought to myself, if they can do it, why would I be able to do it? I should just give up. And it was a lot of work. So when I first started Saturday markets, I had to wake up at like 3 a.m., load the car, get all this thing ready, get there by 7 a.m. and set up, get ready to start serving at 10 a.m. and break everything back down at 3 p.m. And I had to do all of this on top of going to do my master's. So there was a lot of reason for me to quit. But the response that I received from the community in Oregon was so overwhelming, and it made me realize that this is a part of this cuisine that people need in Oregon. People been wanting that in Oregon for a while. And Oregon and Portland being a foodie town and even being recognized as the state that have the best food in the US, I thought, why is West African food not being represented when we have influenced American food in so many ways through slavery and all that stuff? So, you know, like a wise man said before, be the change you want to see in the world, right? So I thought maybe I should be the one who bring that West African cuisine to Portland and get people to know this cuisine and educate people that Africa is not a country. Even when 2022, some people still assume Africa is a country or West Africa is one country. So I made it my job through my business to teach people about West African culture, about the different countries that are in West Africa and the cuisine that I was bringing here. So after the Saturday market, I decided to go into the food cart. Naturally, it's a town with food cart, thousands of food carts. I tried that for a couple of years and it didn't really work out with the kind of food and the kind of vision I had for the way I wanted people to experience the food, right? So I ended up closing that down. And that's one thing I've learned as an entrepreneur. If one way is not working, it's okay to actually look into other directions or step back so you can come back stronger. And that's what I did. I basically closed down the food cart, and it felt like such a big failure because I had invested so much money into opening the food cart. So when it didn't go the way I wanted to, I was very disappointed and didn't want to do food anymore. So thankfully I got rehired again by the Girl Scout. God bless them for taking me back. You know, they didn't know I was gonna quit again, otherwise they wouldn't have hired me. But so I went back, work again for another year or so, and my husband saw this little spot on MLK that was just perfect. But we didn't have money to start it, and I thought, man, how are we going to do this? maybe it's time to just let it go. But guess what? At that same time, Girl Scout gave us a bonus, and I was like, ciao. You know, my boss was very understanding. Honestly, she's still a customer and a friend. She still come and eat at Akari, and she always said that if we knew you were coming back, we would have waited before giving that bonus. But it was meant to be. So when we got the bonus, we used that as a deposit to get the place, but we didn't even have the first and last month rent to pay. So we made a deal with the landlord that, you know, we know it's going to be successful. Lies, we didn't know nothing. We were just we were like, if we become successful, we'll pay you, you know. And we tried to convince him, and my husband is very good at convincing people, you know. So he did a good job there, and he let us have the space. We were supposed to open in June of 2017, but we didn't know the City of Portland want the money too, right? You can't just open a business. You have to pay the city, you gotta get all the licenses, you gotta pay Maluma County, you gotta pay the health. It's a lot of things that go into it, and I did not do any research to figure out what I needed before I get started. And I'm glad I didn't, because if I did, I would have been discouraged by all the steps it would have required for me before I can even start. So we started and we figured it out as we went along with the business. And that's the beauty about this business I have right now and where I am right now at this space where I'm at, because I never knew I would get that far going into it the way I did, you know, with nothing, and, you know, paying things as the restaurant started making money. That's how we were paying stuff. But when you trust yourself and you basically do what you're good at, which was cooking for me, I just wanted to focus on the food, you know? Anything else was gonna come last. And that's what we did. We first opened, and what ended up happening, we had a line at the door that wrapped around the building, and I basically went and hid behind the dishwasher and started crying, because I was like, how am I gonna feed all these people? This is insane. And the wait time was 2 hours. It was disorganized. I didn't know how to tell people what to do. I didn't want to tell people what to do, you know? And if you come from Africa, you have to understand that people who are older than you, you always have to respect them. And everyone who worked for me were older than me. So I was like, how am I supposed to tell these people, fry this chicken, fry this fish? I can't, like, you know? So that was very scary for me, and I had to get out of my head and kind of put aside those things that are part of my culture that were stopping me from being great. So the first day was a disaster, but customers love the food. That's what everybody says. We waited too long, this and that, but the food was great. And that's all that mattered to me at that moment. I wanted to focus on the food. If the food is good, people will forgive you for all the other stuff, and they will come back. I trusted that. I went with that. And fast forward to a couple of years where I grew this space, and we had to open a new space. And you know what's funny is that the community was so supportive to us, we could not believe it, you know. I'm talking African Americans came out, I cannot even explain. Like, Asians came out, Indians came out, everyone came out and supported us so much, you know. People were coming constantly, they were giving us feedback we needed to improve the business. And it became like a family, right? We created this community around Akadi that now we're reaping the benefit of. So what I've learned from this business is that, exactly like people said, what doesn't kill you make you stronger, right? This business definitely have made me a lot stronger. During the pandemic, it was really hard, not the way other businesses experience in terms of customers not showing up. We actually had the community show up more than we could handle, right? We had lines upon lines during the pandemic. This is during the pandemic, because they were so scared that we were gonna close, right? If we didn't make it through, and we're the only full service West African sit-down restaurant. And that really mattered to people enough that they wanted to make sure we stayed open, even during the pandemic. And that's mind-blowing to me. And that reminds me that all I can do is do my part. I do my part, which is the cooking and making sure I believe that as long as I put the effort and the hard work, people will come out. You know, people will show love. And being honest also with what I'm trying to do and not losing myself in trying to satisfy everyone, but doing exactly what I'm good at, which was cooking. So I want to end this evening by saying to everyone who wants to open a business and who is afraid and who doesn't know where to start, the conventional way that we were taught in school might not work for you. It didn't work for me. I had to create my own way of doing things, the different steps that were gonna work for me to be able to open this business. And one thing that was really important to me was for my parents to be proud of where I'm at. I am right now, but it's very hard for them since being a chef is not considered, at least not in my community back home anyway. It's not considered something that you can tell your friends, because it's all about that competition, right? They want to tell their friends, like, my daughter is a lawyer, but then what are you gonna say when you're having a conversation? My daughter is a chef. What the hell is a chef? So I think in that sense, my dad is still a little disappointed that I didn't go into that field, but he's coming around and seeing that what we have achieved, you know, and I'm starting to understand that I'm happy with where I'm at, because I have built this from the ground up. I've built this with my 2 hands, and I'm very proud of what we have achieved in the community, being nominated Best Restaurant of Portland, being featured on Top Shelf, you know, and showing other people who wants to do this, that there is a space and a place for all of us, you know. Like Zanel said it best, if there's no seat at the table for you, bring your own table. And we brought the table for other people to also sit in our table. And that's the advice I'm gonna give out tonight is, if there's no seat at the table for you, bring your own table. Thank you so much, guys.